What you are listening to now is the Central Indiana Sports Report podcast number 335.3. My recap, then John Robertson's and Michelle Garmon's reaction to the Fever's big 80-70 win over the Las Vegas Aces at the Fieldhouse on Thursday.
You're listening to the Central Indiana Sports Report with your host, Greg Mengels.
Welcome, Fever fans, to the Central Indiana Sports Report for our recap and then John Robertson and Michelle Garmon's reaction to what was a big win without Caitlin Clark on Thursday night at the Fieldhouse's 80-70 over the Aces. Before we get to the recap and the reaction, let me tell you about our plans for Fever coverage going forward. We have a Fever report once a week with John and Michelle. Plus, we recap and react to every single game between now and the NBA Finals. If you're a Fever fan, it would be a really good idea for you to subscribe right now. We're at Amazon, Apple, SoundCloud, Spotify, and YouTube. Please like, subscribe, and follow so you don't miss a single podcast. Your Fever recap in 10 minutes or less begins now. It was another day of bad Caitlin Clark news for the Fever. Clark continues to sit out of games with a groin injury, and the word setback came up in Coach Stephanie White's pregame interview. Of course, the official status coming out of the press conference is day to day, so maybe it's just me reading into things. On the court, though, they simply didn't need her on Thursday. That's because their other stars, Kelsey Mitchell, Aaliyah Boston, and Natasha Howard, combined for 52 points, 24 rebounds, 8 assists, and 5 steals, and led Indiana to an 80-70 win over the Las Vegas Aces, a key win in the standings. The game was played at the Fieldhouse in downtown Indianapolis. Again, coming up momentarily, John Robertson and Michelle Garmon will join me to talk about their thoughts on what was a big win for the Indiana Fever. Mitchell was just 8 for 24 from the field, but took over down the stretch and finished with a game-high 21 points. Boston had another double-double of 13 points and 10 rebounds against Vegas's elite front line. And Howard went 6 for 9 from the field, the WNBA's leader in field goal percentage. She was also 5 for 7 from the free throw line and finished with 18 points and 13 rebounds in the win. Howard said the Fever's offensive success started on the defensive end.
Our defense get our offense going, and that's how we maintain games like that. We don't rely on our offense a lot. We rely on our defense to get our when our defense is going, our offense is going. So we limited the Vegas to one shot, and that's how we got open shots for the shooters inside the paint and everything.
The Fever led between 4 and 7 for the first 7 minutes of the fourth quarter. Every time the Aces cut the deficit to 5 or 4, Indiana had a response. Most of the time, it was Kelsey Mitchell or Aaliyah Boston. An Alyssa Smith basket lowered the Fever lead to 61-57, but Mitchell responded with a layup. A Jewel Lloyd layup made it 64-60, but then Mitchell countered with a 3. Here's the great Pat Boylan and Debbie Antonella on Amazon Prime and the Fever Television Network on the call. We are so lucky to have them. You listen to some of the WNBA national broadcasts, and it's really hard to listen to. Pat and Debbie are fantastic.
Clear out. Take it.
Mitchell sizing up Lloyd. She will launch and bury a 3.
Wow. So good.
Seconds later, a Mitchell layup pushed the Fever edge to 69-60 with just over 7 minutes left on the clock.
Mitchell on Lloyd. Mitchell on the attack, flips it up, draws the foul.
With 4 minutes left, an Asia Wilson layup made it 71-66, but Aaliyah Boston scored back-to-back baskets to push the lead to 75-66. The veteran Aces had one last run in them. Their stars, Asia Wilson, Jackie Young, and Jewel Lloyd, each scored as Vegas cut the lead to 75-70 with 93 seconds left. But Ari McDonald hit the game clincher, a three-pointer with 34 seconds left.
One-on-one, Donald pulls up and hits a three. Ari McDonald slams the door shut.
The Fever led almost all of the first quarter, jumping out to a 16-8 lead. The Aces responded to a fuming Becky Hammond by closing out the quarter on a 12-0 run. The first quarter ended in an 18-18 tie. The Aces took the lead and pushed it to 26-18 early in the second quarter. And in a game of runs, Indiana responded to a Stephanie White technical foul with a 15-3 run of their own and led 33-29 with 3:12 remaining in the first half. Then it was Vegas's turn again. A 13-2 run to close out the half gave them a 41-35 lead at intermission. Boston tied the game with a basket with 7:18 left in the third. That capped a 10-4 Fever run. The third quarter was back and forth until a Mitchell 3 kick-started Indiana's game-turning 8-0 spurt to end the third quarter. Mitchell also capped the run with a layup that put the Fever up 62-56. The Fever are now 5-7 in clutch games. That's games that are 5 points or closer in the final minutes of the contest. They're also now 5-6 without Caitlin Clark. Sophie Cunningham is becoming a star in Indiana, and she had another big night starting once again. She scored 15 points. She was 4 for 5 from the field, 3 for 4 from behind the three-point line, and 4 for 4 at the foul line. In fact, the Fever were 11 of 14 at the charity stripe on the night. Cunningham says with or without Caitlin Clark, the Fever have to be ready to play.
I don't think that it affects us anymore. We put out a statement today that, she's day to day. And so we know that as a team. And so that's helpful to mentally prepare. But I really do think that, if we have Caitlin, great, and we know how to play with her. If we don't have Caitlin, great, we know how to play without her. And I think that's just so important. It gives people confidence that when she is back, they know their role. And then when she's not, they have the confidence to come out there and make big plays for us. And so for us, I don't really think it's something that we think about anymore. For us, it's taking one day at a time, stacking the days. And tonight, I think we did a really good job, not only physically, but seriously mentally, because we have been struggling and inconsistent when they go on runs, and we stopped it. And then we went on our runs. And so that's a big step for us. And I just said it, but it's all about consistency from here on out.
The Fever are now 13-12 on the season and go to Chicago on Sunday to face the rival Sky. Please stay tuned for John Robertson and Michelle Garmon.
You're listening to the Central Indiana Sports Report with your host, Greg Mengels.
Welcome, Fever fans, to the Central Indiana Sports Report. Welcome, John Robertson, our Fever guy. Welcome, Michelle Garmon, Tipton Tribune, and Elwood call leader. And what a win that was tonight. Another win against a good team without Caitlin Clark, and a huge win in the standings. John, you were there tonight. What was it like?
Man, it was a really great atmosphere. There seemed to be a little bit of nervousness. Like you can almost feel a little bit of nervousness just because of the way the last couple of games have gone. But overall, great atmosphere. The Stranger Things activations and the Stranger Things themed arena was great. I was really happy to hear extremely loud cheers for Kelsey Mitchell and Sophie Cunningham and Aaliyah Boston during the starting lineup. So I was really happy for that, just based off of, I want to believe that she's ignoring all of the social media nonsense, but like even if she can't stay completely out of it, hearing a massive roar when her name's called has got to feel good, right?
Michelle, big win in the standings as far as the playoffs go. If as long as they stay afloat without Caitlin, they have a chance, right?
Definitely, they do. I mean, the important thing is to get Caitlin healthy, and I don't think I let her back on the court until if she's not 100%, then she better be like 95 to 98%. You just don't want her to go down again. And big win, like you said. They now have the tiebreaker over the Aces if they would be tied proceeding in the playoffs, and that's big. And they got the tiebreaker without Caitlin. So it was really good win. Sophie Cunningham's really nailing down threes, but I want to give a big shout out to Ari McDonald for that clutch game over three late in the game, and just her play overall and tonight was really good. You come to expect others to play really well, and they did. And Natasha Howard, again, since the All-Star break, I think she benefited from that rest too. She was playing well. Then I think she had a couple games where she wasn't shooting as well. I think she was tired. She rested, and man, she's been huge.
John, a lot of different heroes tonight, which is something we like to see. We've seen a lot with the Pacers and with the Fever, but when the game was on the line, it was Kelsey Mitchell's game.
Yeah, absolutely. Kelsey had the biggest night of anyone. Like, I agree with what Michelle's saying that Aries' three at the end was probably the highlight moment. It was the splashiest. It was the Halliburton game winner. But Kelsey Mitchell was consistent all night long, played really, really well, shot really well, and she was aggressive. It's the same thing we said about Tyrese during the Pacers run, is like when he drives and lays it up, that also opens up his three, and when you're doing both, like, you're unstoppable, and that's what she was doing tonight. She was really, really good. And we have to make, we said it in our last talk, we got to make sure we're appreciating what Kelsey does. She's so good at it that we almost forget about it. Like, it was just commonplace, but what she does is really important for the team.
Again, I'm going to go back to Natasha Howard, because I thought she was big on both ends of the floor tonight. I thought this was one of her best defensive games in a while, maybe since the game that didn't count in the standings, for the Commissioner's Cup that they got. But I thought Howard was really good on both ends of the floor.
Howard played really, really well. Yeah. Well, and the funny thing is, I was putting together my pregame bet, and I almost took Howard for like 5 rebounds, because I was like, that 5 should be reasonable, right? And she ended up with, 13?
13.
I felt like she'd have a pretty good night, because I knew Aaliyah and Asia were going to be going at it, right? Look, those two. And they did. They went at it. We definitely got to talk in a little minute about how they went at it. But I knew those two were going to be going at it, which should open up Natasha a little bit. And it really did. And she took advantage. She definitely took advantage. She had a beast of a game.
Tonight, too, was her defense off help and the way she affected shots. I really appreciated her on the defensive end of the floor tonight, as well as what she did on the offensive end. And her defense in transition, too, was pretty good.
Well, a big difference I saw from her tonight that I don't always see is she was sprinting down the court. Like, she was sprinting from the defensive end to the offensive end, which, that's new. I don't want to say it's completely new, but it's improved over where she has been. So I was happy to see that. And she had a 3. Natasha Howard had a 3 tonight, which blew my mind.
Aaliyah.
Oh, I know. When Tosh pulled up for that 3, I'm like, oh, wasn't expecting that. And then it went in. I'm like, but I'll take it. We'll take it.
All right, let's talk about the matchup in the middle. Aaliyah held her own, didn't she?
She definitely did. I don't think that Asia likes Aaliyah Boston. I really just don't think she likes her. And I may be projecting here, and I may be creating something that's not there. I don't mean it to be too incredibly negative, but it just feels like there's some sort of a real rivalry, not like some nonsensical rivalry. It feels like a real rivalry because, Asia got the one where she came over the back and it probably should have been a foul, and they called it a jump ball. And there was definitely some ticky-tack stuff going on that was getting called on Aaliyah. And I don't really want to talk about the refs. They were bad, but I'm just saying, you could see that was getting to Boston.
They were bad early. They got better as the game went on.
I agree. I very much agree. regardless of how you feel about the refs, like you could see that it was getting to Aaliyah a little bit. She was frustrated with it. So finally she just said, screw it. They're not going to call it on this side. I'm just going to go for it. And she started to play a little rough and was grabbing some balls and jerking them away. And I was like, go for it.
Yeah, I saw your tweet.
I'll tell you what, I think what it is with her and Wilson, I think it's a rivalry, but it's kind of like the big sibling, little sibling. The older sibling never wants to be shown up by the younger sibling. And those two were teammates and battled every day, battled each other.
South Carolina.
I mean, Leah was like 2 years behind Asia. So when she came in, Asia's mentoring her, but, you just don't want. You were the one. You don't want. I know that when I was out there and I could play tennis with my sisters on the court. I think one night after I came off, I had ice bags on my shoulders and my ankles. I would not let my youngest sister, who is faster than I am, beat me because it just is too competitive. I was too competitive.
That's the last person you want to beat you. That's right.
That's fair. Yeah. I was trying to figure out why it was like, I was like, why would Asia have such a beef with Aaliyah? Because they were both South Carolina girls. You would think they would, have some sort of connection, but that makes sense. Like, I couldn't figure it out, but that makes sense. But that's definitely a thing. Like, they definitely play each other tough.
Let's talk about the standings, guys, because, again, big win. We're at the part of the season where you start to look at the standings and what it means for the playoffs. We're past the All-Star game, not that far away from the playoffs, and this was a big one, as Michelle mentioned, for the tiebreaker, but also in the standings. It gives them a little comfort, a little
wiggle room.
Yeah.
I agree with that. They're also one game behind the Dream, and they have the series tied season series with the Dream, so that one could matter too if they they don't have a ton of wiggle room. They got 3 games ahead of Golden State, who's in 9th. So 3 games is not a huge amount, but it's better than 2.
Let's give another little shout out to Timpson, who came back in and who her development I think is going to be key, especially for if the Fever make the playoffs and go on a run. I think that her providing that depth inside, she's impressing me.
Yeah, I think she's good. I don't know that she'll be a huge factor this season, even into the playoffs, but I think her development into next season will be huge. I think she'll play a part. I just don't know how big it'll be.
But to me, I think if you can come in, especially when it gets to the playoffs and like that, if you can come in and be counted on for 5 good minutes, and that's your role, 5 or 6, to grab the rebounds, to play stout defense, get putbacks or whatever, I think that is fulfilling your role, and that's contributing.
I think that's a really good opportunity to segue into the defense and why it played such an important factor tonight too, Michelle, is the fact that when the game started, they were playing really solid, strong defense and they were winning. But then after the initial calls were going against them, they almost had to stop playing defense. And that's when we could have stopped those runs, right? So I really think that's a key factor that we're because they lose these runs 2-12 and 2-18. I don't even remember what it was. It was bad. But that's because but you could see that they had stopped playing strong, aggressive defense, right? So Timpson does bring that in, but I think that's one of the key factors we're going to have to watch going forward about when they start losing to big runs. It's because they've backed off on their defense.
It's a good point, good observation. Yeah, I'll tell you what, Stephanie was almost as fun to watch on the sidelines tonight as the players on the court. She was really into that. It was
Dude.
Great.
I was so happy she got that tech. That tech made me happier than I don't know.
And they responded to it.
Well, yeah, it showed that because here's the thing, you could see the players getting frustrated. You could see them adjusting and not playing as strong as they could because they were frustrated. So Steph getting that tech showed them it's not just in their head. She understands and sees what's happening. She's supporting them, and then they came back and they played tough after that.
I'm sorry, but Asia Wilson bear hugging Aaliyah Boston I still don't understand that call.
That one was really bad. There was one that really, really made me mad against Aerie. I think it was Aerie. She's standing there, not moved for a couple of seconds, hands straight up in the air, and I forget which. I honestly don't remember which Aces player like jumps into her and shoots, and they called a foul on Aerie. And I'm like, what's she supposed to do? Back like there was nothing. She just stood there. That one made me so mad.
One where Asia wrapped up Boston. It was actually kind of funny because you could see when they replayed it on TV, the Asia is like, she's smiling because it's like she knows she got
She's
away
laughing.
with something.
Yeah.
She was.
She's checking. She's like, really?
Yeah.
Really?
There was some really bad ones. And you guys know that I don't like to sit there and
No.
pound
That's
on
something
it.
we don't do much on this podcast.
But I will say that when the girls seem to realize that we have to just play through it because they know they can't change it, that's when the momentum shifts. Like the first shift they made was they stopped playing aggressively. Then they changed again to like, screw it. Like, I said, if they're going to get called for the foul anyways, just make it worth your foul. But like, you got to be careful with that too.
You got to worry a little bit about foul trouble.
Guys, very favorable schedule coming up. The next 10 games are 10 games they should be favoring in maybe all of them. And they only have 2 games in the next week, which means Caitlin gets a chance to heal up. So coming up on Sunday is the Sky, and then Phoenix, Dallas, Seattle, Los Angeles, Phoenix, Chicago, Dallas, Washington, Connecticut, before a back-to-back against the Lynx.
The Sky game is going to be hyped up, but I don't even know if Caitlin or Angel is going to play in that game because both are on the injured list right now. It could be the biggest letdown for people that are excited for that one. I definitely
But they play twice in the next 10 games. So.
Sure. Well, and the Fever should be favored regardless of who's playing in that game, honestly. I think the Mercury game will be tough. Seattle is always tough. And we've lost twice to the Sparks, which we shouldn't, but we've already lost. We're 0-2 against them so far this season, right? The majority of those games should be winnable. I think the Mercury games are going to be tough. I think the Seattle game could be tough. We can beat them. They can clearly beat them. It's just they got to show up. How many games was that we rattled off?
6 game could be a little tough too.
Well, yeah, a lot of the games are tough. They're just all winnable.
They're all absolutely winnable. I'd say we come out 7-3 or 6-4, and I'm really happy. Right? Like I don't want to go 5-5. I definitely want to be.
That would be bad.
I'd want to be above 500. Man, the Connecticut games make me nervous because I think Connecticut's got nothing to play for, and they just want to be hurting people.
Beat you up, right? Want to be afraid.
Yeah.
They're interesting games, John.
Well, that's fair, but I'm just saying, like, as a Fever fan, and if I was in the front office, I would just tell Caitlin to sit that game even if she's healthy. I'd be like, you know what? Why don't you just take this one off? We'll say you need rest.
I'm not so sure that's not what they should do anyway. When Caitlin, I know she's going to be on a minutes thing, but I think they got to see how many games in a row and watch her and to maybe give her a game off here or there before the playoffs, even though she's missed so many.
Thanks, guys, so much. Always appreciate it. You guys didn't believe me last night when I was saying we'll talk after a Fever win. I mean, John kind of went with it, but Michelle was very skeptical, and I called it, guys. Thanks so much to John and Michelle for joining me once again, especially to John, who was at the game and had some bad traffic on the way out and still made it. Always appreciate his time, and Michelle, of course, we say it all the time because it's the truth. She is the best. And thank you so much for listening. Please do us a huge favor and share this podcast with the Fever fan in your life. Help us spread the word about the Central Indiana Sports Report, that we're here talking about Central Indiana sports every single day. Haven't missed a day yet. Central Indiana Sports Report is a product of ITG Media, and I love Susie.